Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. When we look at important houses and their relation to different signs, the Kendra houses and the trine houses stand out. Amongst these houses, especially the Kendra houses, the 10th house is supposed to be the most important and most powerful house in the horoscope, and because its direct connection is with our career, our karma, hence it becomes very important that when we look at the placement of the 10th house lord in different signs and its connection to your karma, to your career, to your prestige and standing in society, your relationship with your supervisors, authority figures in life, through that we will be able to manifest different results. And so to be able to understand and to be able to decode that placement vis-a-vis our horoscopes becomes very, very important. Hence today I am going to talk about the placement of the 10th house lord in different signs in your horoscope and what it means if the 10th house lord gets placed in different signs. So let's start with the first sign, that is the placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Aries first. When you look at the placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Aries, the first manifestation of that is that Aries is a sign which is about a focused attention that is given by the person to different activities and to different manifestations. And Aries is also a very strong sign and a sign of immediate action and a lot of positive and assertive action and a lot of focus and a lot of dynamism to that placement. So when the 10th house lord gets placed in the sign of Aries, one of the manifestation is related to the career, the karma, which means what is the relationship of the person with respect to his supervisors, with respect to his managers, and how he does his karma or how he does his work or how he manifests his career. So here the person will be somebody who will be very active at his work, in his projects, will take a lot of focus, will put in a lot of attention in his work and to be able to get the best results from it. And so the person will put a lot of energy, a lot of willpower into it. Though the challenge with this placement is also that usually the person will start off, if it's a new role, new project, with a lot of enthusiasm, with a lot of effort. However, if the particular project, the particular role is not able to sustain his or her interest, then they also tend to lose that energy very soon, and hence they begin the project, they begin the role, they begin that responsibility very well. However, soon if they find it is not rewarding enough, then they also lose that interest. People with 10th house lord in Aries need a lot of dynamism in the work, but also a lot of interest and a regular value add that they seek from that output from the career. Secondly, it is also important what relationships they have with the supervisors, the managers and the authority figures. If they are able to have very good dynamic relationship with supervisors and authority figures also, and if they are able to get along very well. However, this also requires that the authority figures also give more flexibility to this particular person with the 10th house lord in Aries, because this person will not hesitate to assertively point his or her point across when they feel that it will be value add to the work, will be value add to the project, will be a value add to the team. However, if the supervisors generally become insecure, then there is a challenge, because the person with the 10th house lord in Aries puts so much interest, puts so much dynamism into his work, into his project, that sometimes the authority figures become overawed and feel insecure whether this person will take away my credit, will take away my position itself. So very soon they will also start to push back this particular person, and then this person with the 10th house lord in the sign of Aries may feel that I'm not getting my due, I'm not getting my flexibility, and then they also take a back seat. So generally their relationship with the supervisors also tend to be either very, very good or sometimes full of challenges also, or I can say it's like a seesaw battle. So it has to be carefully taken into account that the person with the 10th house Lord in Aries need to be careful that if they push too far and too strongly, too assertively with the authority figures, with the supervisors, then it may actually backfire. And similarly, how much ambition that they show with their work, with the projects and with the supervisors, because if you come across as too ambitious, then too there is a question mark in the supervisor's mind that is this person trying to usurp my role and my responsibility and take away credit. Thirdly, the person with the 10th house Lord in Aries is also very particular about what his or her public image is and how he or she is seen by the general society, and will work hard to be able to manifest and reach a certain position in society, in life, in work, because of which he can hold his head high and also demand or command respect from people. If not demand, at least command the respect. And if that role is giving him or manifesting that, so be it. If not, then definitely they lose interest. And many times the person with the 10th house Lord in Aries goes through many changes of roles before they settle down into something where they find that the role is engaging, the relationship with the supervisors, the authority figures is also engaging, and they have been able to get to a place where they can see that they have been able to, or they have arrived and they have been able to achieve some distance in their careers. Only this comes only after many battles, many upheavals, and usually it takes at least a decade, if not more, for them to feel that they have arrived into a situation, into a work that they feel is more rewarding. And the other thing is about their karma, because the 10th house is also about your karma. Hence, many a times a person's life goes through many ups and downs because he also has to pay the karmic debt. And if a person is not actively involved in his karmic debt, how much I have to give back to society through my work, then it also comes across that their careers go through ups and downs, their income goes through ups and downs, and their savings also goes ups and downs. So the person with the 10th house Lord in Aries needs to do a fine balancing act, how much energy, how much enthusiasm they put in work, how much they push forward to be able to get to a certain position in life, how they are able to manifest better relationship with the authority figures, with the supervisors, with the managers, but also they need to have a keen eye on the karma and their karmic debt. The person with the 10th house Lord in the sign of Taurus is usually somebody who's very calm and composed at work, and they also feel very grounded to their work, to the projects, to the work that, to the role that they're doing, and to the organization. However, they also feel they need to feel stable in the job. They also need to feel that they are also important pillars in the job that they're doing, in the role that they're doing. If not, if they don't feel grounded, if they don't feel stable enough, and if they don't feel they are also listened to, they don't want that whatever they say has to be followed, but they surely want to be listened to. If not, then sometimes they also have this bull-like energy where they dig in their heels and they don't move. And so usually they have a very calming effect at work. They will work very hard, they will try to finish projects on time, and they will put in a lot of hard work and dedication to be able to do that. However, they will also not hesitate to make their voice felt, to make their presence felt, and to speak out if they feel some things need to be changed, something needs to be done differently, and they talk very assertively about that. They may not have the energy, the dynamism, the anger and the assertiveness of the Aries, but they will have a very soft but firm approach to how they need to work, how various processes need to be rolled out, and also the relationship with the supervisors and the authority figures. Usually they will have a very calming effect. They will have good relationship with the supervisors, with the administration, also the managers at work. However, if they feel that they are not getting their due, they are not being heard, and they are not being given the rewards, especially the financial rewards are important for them, because financial security that comes from the job is important for them. If they are getting a work which may not be very rewarding, very enriching, but if they get the financial security, then they still may be okay to continue in that role, to continue in the project, and to continue to try and have good relationship with the supervisors, with the managers, and with the management. However, if they put in a lot of hard work is also engaging, but somewhere the financial security is not coming in, then they feel cheated. They feel that I don't need to be in this position for long because I'm not being rewarded enough, especially the materialistic kind, and I need to push back. And so usually these people tend to work many years before they start to make their voice felt, speaking out that I need to be rewarded, I need to be appreciated. If they get their dues, so be it. You will find that these are one of the most stable people, very hard-working people, very rewarding people for the project, for the team at hand. However, if they are not being given their due, then they don't hesitate to push back also, to speak out louder than when they are not being heard. Also, with respect to their karma, usually their karmic debt is from a financial perspective also, and hence they also need to do something around how they can use the earnings to be able to give back to society also. Some investments that they do, some donations, some charity they should be surely doing, whereby they give back to the society, because that could also be the karmic debt they are carrying, and their karma usually are also comes around this. So many times the careers of such people may also be attached to finance, money, or IT, because this also has Venus energies. So if you are one with the 10th house lord in the sign of Taurus, ensure that you continue to do the good work, continue to establish good relations with the supervisors, but also ensure that your karmic debts that you may have related to financial matters, you also take care of that. The person with the 10th house lord in Gemini is a person whose responsibility is more about how well he is able to communicate, how much he is able to use his thoughts, his ideas, and be able to apply them at work. Usually these people are very sociable, and they will want to work in a team environment where their input is also taken into account, and they also don't hesitate to give in to other people's ideas also. So it is more of a teamwork that this person with the 10th house lord in Gemini believes in. And they also like to have a work environment which is light-hearted, playful, fun to be in, and also stimulating for the mind. And hence usually the mind is also working hard, working overtime also, to be able to ensure that the work is done to everybody's satisfaction. These people also work hard on having good relationship with supervisors, with authority figures, and they will go out of their way also to please their bosses and to be able to be in the good books of the management. However, these people sometimes tend to have doubts about their own roles, about whether the job or the project is rewarding enough for them, and whether they are in the right role, in the right job or not. If they feel that they are not in the right role, they are not in the right job, then they feel that probably the job is not rewarding enough, the project is not rewarding enough, and then they have this deep anxiety from within, anxiety which may even push them for change. So if a year goes by where they don't find any change coming in, change for the better coming in, some reward, some recognition coming in, then they feel easily bored, but they also want more stimulation and a change, and they then start to feel anxious, get frustrated, and they also look out for a change. Many a person with Gemini sign being the one in which the 10th house lord is placed will also, not because the organization is pushing them out, but because of their own volition, may also change 2 or 3 jobs before they settle into something which they find is rewarding enough for them, especially if successes and achievements keep coming to them. If they don't find that some success, some achievement, some recognition is coming to them, if nothing else, a pat on the back and a communication, maybe a certificate, merit certificate or something coming to them, or at least being praised or acknowledged in meetings and through employee recognition programs, then they may think of reaching out beyond their work and being able to find something else which is more rewarding and also more engaging. And so generally, to be able to do that, they also work on the relationship with management and authority figures. However, they also want engaging work, they also want work which where they can communicate and they can regularly interact with people. If they are put into a role where the communication is not much and they are put into an individual role where the interaction is not much with people, then they get easily bored, because communication is also which gives them visual stimulation. Usually you will find these people very good in marketing, in branding, in selling, in social media, in writing, in any role where communication is of the primary concern and is the pillar of the work. You will find the person with the 10th house lord in the sign of Gemini. Karma wise, their karma is to be able to reach out and use the position to be able to voice out and help those people who themselves are downtrodden, and help and use their power to communicate, the power to influence, the power to market, the power to sell, to be able to also do something back for the society rather than them only for themselves. And that is the placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Gemini for you. The placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Cancer is somebody who likes to do something which is also very supportive, which is also nourishing for others. And this is a placement of a person who wants his job not only to be able to support others and to be able to reward others and give back to society, but also he or she is also sensitive to what their role is able to do for others. And generally these people are also somebody who can do certain things at work in an emotional manner rather than use the logic, the practical voice from within. So generally they may end up becoming emotional because the boss is friendly with them, or other team members are friendly with them, or ask them for help, and they generally are not able to refuse help when it's needed. These are also the people who may also volunteer by themselves when they feel that somebody is in a challenge, somebody is in a spot of bother, and they don't mind working hard for success. However, they also want the recognition from the work at an emotional level. The emotional connect is very important for them, where from the inner voice should be able to tell them that I am in the right place, I am being rewarded enough, and they should feel happy and contented. The happiness and contention, the contentment for them doesn't come not so much about the role that they are playing, the designation that they have, or the money that they have, but the role that they play. If the role that they play they feel is engaging enough, is rewarding enough in terms of how much of an output they are able to do, how much of a support they are, how much of a pillar they are, how much of a nourishment they are able to do to their job, to the role, to the team, and then getting nourished in return, then they feel this is the job for me and I don't mind being in the job for long. However, they also have this very receptive energy to what the leadership wants, what the authority figures want, and they usually also like to be in a job where they also feel they have a good rapport with the supervisors, with the authority figures, rather than just a very professional relationship. Only when they find they have a good rapport, there is good understanding, there is good empathy on both the sides, do they engage with the company and with the project for long. If they find that the supervisors or the managers are not empathetic enough, they don't understand their challenges, and they are not nourishing in terms of their growth, in terms of pushing them forward so that they can elevate in the job, then they find that they may not be able to connect to the role emotionally, emphatically, and then they find that they would want to move out from the role, because then they don't feel connected enough to the role, they don't find themselves to be understood enough, themselves to be wanted enough. The karma for these people, because the 10th house is also the house of karma, the karma for them is also to do such a job, such a career where they give back to society also in a more nourishing manner, in a more caring manner, in a more giving manner. And so usually those roles which require nourishment, taking care of others, supporting others, or being a support to the main operations is a role that the people usually with the 10th house lord in the sign of Cancer find. The placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Leo is a placement where the person is born to be a leader, wants to be a leader, wants to take responsibility, and is usually a person who is very steadfast. This is a very extroverted person and is a visionary usually. However, these people also have a lot of dignity in the role that they want to play, in the job that they want to play, in the responsibility that they want to have. And hence usually these people are also very self-confident basis what role they play and whether they are having enough of a say. If they don't have enough of a leadership, enough of a say, enough of a voice in how decisions are taken, how the team works, how the project turns out, and if they find that they are relegated to the side or they are not enough important spoke in the wheel, then they very easily get a feeling of being displaced or not being important enough, not being somebody who has a voice in the decision making, and then they also feel disconnected. So this is a placement of a lot of responsibility which comes to them, and many a times leadership roles come easy to them, or they vie for the leadership roles, or they want to have the leadership roles. So these people put in a lot of hard work and they want to grow. They don't want to grow only because they want to have the designation, but they also like to have the responsibility, and some people also like to have the power which comes with authority. And so they are the people who will work very strongly with authority figures, and usually they like to work on an even keel rather than being subjugated by authority figures, being subjugated by the managers, being subjugated by their bosses. So usually these people also are one who will assert themselves in meetings, will assert themselves in projects, will assert themselves even with bosses, so that they also have a say and they don't hesitate to take more responsibility, because they know if they speak up, then they will also have to take more responsibility, they also will have to take more accountability. But because they don't shy away from taking the accountability, so they find the leadership roles also come to them. These people are also very, very ambitious, and they take time to come into their own. However, they also are the ones who feel that you need to deserve before you desire. So they are the ones who will first put up their hands to volunteer for more roles, for more responsibility, and will also push their way if that doesn't come to them easily. These people are also very worried about how they are seen by society and at work, and so they want to get into professions, they want to get into roles, they also want to get into projects where they will be seen, they will also be recognized, and they will also be appreciated. The karma for them is that they should take responsibility not only for their work but also for their actions, and to be accountable for the actions in life in general, and not only connected to work. And that is the karmic that they need to pay back to society by taking accountability and responsibility of things which are going right or wrong around them, and not only at work. The people with the 10th house lord in the sign of Virgo are people who are very efficient in how they function at work, and these are people who don't work with too much fanfare. They are the people who will work very quietly, and they'll put all their focus and dedication to the work at hand. They are very, very skillful, almost they have an engineering mindset and how they work, how they complete their tasks, and they usually don't like to leave any stone unturned to make the project a complete success, a perfect success. And usually, hence, they many times find fault in their own work, in how their work output is, and because they are also perfectionists to a certain degree, so they work long hours at work. They don't mind pushing the extra minute, extra hour, extra day if required, so that the work gets completed well. Many times these people also bring work back to their home, so that they can do work on it a little bit more, and to be able to turn the screw a little bit more, correct the font a little bit more, so that they have a perfect output. And many times these people are also more self-critical of what kind of an output they have been able to bring. And so because they have not complete confidence in their work, so many times they also are not able to ask for authority authority for themselves, growth for themselves, and push for their own growth, because they feel I've done a great job, but I have not done a perfect job, though they may have done a better job than the others. So the people with the 10th house lord in Virgo need to understand that they may be doing much better job than the others also, and they need to give themselves more credit than what they themselves give. And because they are not coming across as too confident, the authority figures sometimes also take them for a ride, saying that okay, yeah, I agree with you that work was done well, but it wasn't done perfect, so I'm not giving you the leadership role, I'm not able to give you that growth. So the people with the 10th house lord in the Virgo sign needs to be able to understand, to stand up for themselves. Otherwise, what generally happens with these people is that they create a lot of competition which works behind their back to push them aside and then to walk over them to be able to get the role, sometimes undeserving. So if these people get good quality of work and they do good work, but if they don't assert themselves enough for that role, for the responsibility, for the designation, for the growth, then they usually will be left behind. So these people need to learn to work with the supervisors and to work closely with them, establish a good relationship with them, and not keep it only related to the output of work, and they need to work and they need to learn to work with tact so that they have good enough relationship with supervisors to be able to get more for themselves. These people, the public image that they want to have is of people who are very efficient at work, very logical and practical at work. However, the karma for them is to be able to serve others better, but at the same time also serve themselves, because only when you serve yourselves well, you have the authority, you have the growth, you will be able to give more back to the society rather than being relegated to the back. And that is the placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Virgo for you. The placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Libra is a person who is always trying to do a balance at work, in the project, and work-life balance also, but seldom do they get the work-life balance. And the same thing they also need to do in the relationships at work. So they are also the people who become the go-between between the senior management and the middle management, or with the teams also. And also they try to keep more harmony within the team as well. Even if they are one another member of the team, yet they will be the one who will try to balance between other team members and also create an environment of very lot of positivity. And they use a lot of diplomacy and a lot of grace also to be able to get that balance right. They also try to get the balance between how much they are putting in work, at the same time how much they will get recognition. But many times they think that I need to put in more to be able to get that recognition, because balance is important, and so they give themselves less brownie point than what they must have actually achieved. But because generally they feel they need to balance more on the authority side, on the output side, many times they, because of the relationship orientation also, they don't push enough, because they feel the relationship with the team is important, the relationship with the managers is also important, and so they are not able to voice enough for themselves, ask enough for themselves basis the work output they have done. However, because they are very relationship oriented, they have a lot of good relationships not only within the department but also outside the department, because they have got strong network based on relationship, because they have also reached out and helped people when the help is needed. Usually the public image of these people is a person who is very balanced in their work, very hardworking, and will only ask for recognition or growth when they have done enough good work. And the karma for these people is also that they need to be able to keep good relationship with people beyond their work also, and other departments also, not being a little biased toward their own work, being biased toward their own team or to their own bosses, but also being biased toward themselves, because in trying to work between, in trying to be more justice oriented for others, injustice that they do is for themselves. And that is the placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Libra for you. The placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Scorpio is a placement of transformation. These people generally go through 2 or 3 transformational events in their lives before they settle down. Generally their work consists of digging into and trying to inculcate those areas which require a lot of deep analysis, delving deep into, and being able to extricate and use data to be able to reach conclusions. So generally these people can be in insurance or in IT or in taxation or in financial wealth management or in banking industry or in research, or connected to metals, or connected to engineering, connected to manufacturing. There is a sea of opportunities for these people. However, these are also the people who work very hard but don't voice themselves enough. So many times they also keep something within themselves because they are able to keep secrets. However, They are also the people who will also keep secret a lot of their feelings and their desires and what they want out of their work output. They feel that my work should speak for myself. I don't need to beg for growth, for authority from my bosses. And so usually they don't either speak up or they don't speak up enough to be able to ask for themselves. However, because of Scorpio energy, they work deep. That means they have a deep understanding of the project, they have deep understanding of the work, they have a deep understanding of the business, and they have also a strong understanding of the people, of the colleagues around them. But because they don't speak enough, they don't ask enough, so generally for others they are an enigma. Other people are not able to understand them well, and many times the person with the 10th house lord in Scorpio sign is misunderstood at work, because others feel that this person keeps very reserved to themselves. Maybe the person is arrogant, or maybe this person harbors something against us. So the person with the 10th house lord in the sign of Scorpio has to work harder to be able to establish better relationship, to be more outgoing, and also to speak out so that they get what they deserve. Because they don't speak out, because they don't ask enough, because of that, the transformation for them is a lot of obstacles and hurdles in life before they reach a placement. Generally the placement that they reach, or the place that they reach, the role that they reach, will be the last in the line, because they themselves have chosen to be quiet and not talk enough or ask enough or assert enough. But if they do, because of the Scorpio energies also, they may be misunderstood that this person is trying to be too tactful or too diplomatic and trying to usurp our role. And so these people, they need to learn to work well with the authority figures, well with their bosses, and to establish good relationship with them, and to develop a public image where not only are they good hardworking people, but also people who are good at teamwork. Their karma for them is some ups and downs, some upheavals in life before they are able to establish themselves well at work. However, their karma is also to give back to society, especially those people who may not be as lucky as them, who may not be in the same position as them, and use the resources that they gain from work to be able to give back to society. That is the placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Scorpio for you. The placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Sagittarius is somebody who is very, very optimistic and very, very adventure seeking even at work. So they want different variety of work. They don't mind a new challenge, a new work, a new output, working with a new department also. And usually their intra-department connections is also strong, and this is based on those people who they feel are also extrovert. So these people will also be the people who may hang out in the cafeteria, and within a few minutes they establish a friendship with somebody even from the another department, or they may hang out for the smoke breaks with a person who may be from a different department, because they are on the same page, and through that they establish strong network. And generally the network may not be only be intra-department outside of their own department, but sometimes across cities also and across continents also, as long as those people are connected to their same vocation or the same organization. Many times they may also know people from different organizations across the globe also, because their network is so strong. And these people may also like to travel. Many of these people are the ones who work across team departments. Some of them may be working in HR also, in human resources, or work in the communication department, or in the customer service department, or in operations where the interaction with the outside world is much higher than somebody else. And usually they are restless if they find that their work is not value adding, the job is not engaging enough, the job is not fun enough, the job doesn't have enough of adventure. They don't mind challenges, they don't mind being pushed to the corner if required to be able to do good work, as long as that work is engaging and it allows them to meet different people and establish strong network. Usually these people will have good relationship with authority figures also. However, they also find that leadership roles which come with too much responsibility, too much accountability, and they are not being rewarded enough, they don't have enough flexibility, then they push back. They like a lot of flexibility when being given the leadership roles, when being given the accountability, but also having the financial security and being enough appreciated and recognized in their job. The karma for the people with the 10th house lord in the sign of Sagittarius is that these people also need to be able to use their higher learning to be able to give back more. These people can get a lot of information from the business and understand a lot more about the business than many other people in the organization. And usually higher learning also comes from different experiences that they go through. So the ups and downs that they have in their career also makes them more of an expert, more of a guru, and gives them that edge of competence over others. They have a very deep understanding of the business, they have a deep understanding of human principles, human values, and if they are given enough flexibility and they are given enough of recognition and authority and power, they can do excellent because of both their relationship orientedness, their adventure seeking approach, and the ability to be able to work across organizations, across departments, and to be able to culminate in very good work, not only for themselves but also for the project, for the team and the organization. That is the placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Sagittarius for you. The placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Capricorn is somebody who's very focused, very hardworking, and will work very strategically at how the work output is required for him or her. Very logical people, very hardworking people, and these are the people who like to work in a good structure. They don't mind coming in the morning, swiping their access card and working more or less on similar lines through the day, going for their breaks at a particular time, taking their lunch at a particular time, finishing their work at a particular time and leaving. However, because of their hardworking nature and because of not being able to say no, many times more responsibilities are given to these people, and because these people are also strong or good team workers, they end up doing more than the others. And because they are also people who are very dedicated and very structure oriented, they are able to complete their work much faster and much better than the others. And even when given more work, loaded with work, yet they will be able to work with dedication and be able to complete the work with a much better output than the others. However, for them, leadership is important, accountability is also important, and good relationship with the supervisors is also important. But because they're very good team workers, they are not able to say no to the bosses, to the authority figures, and generally these people are given more and more work because they refuse to say no, or they are not able to say no. And very high level of manipulation or diplomacy doesn't come to them. They have some tact, but they can't manipulate, and so they end up doing more work. These people may also be the least recognized, least rewarded people, but the most hardworking people, and usually the backbone of the organization. If the authority figures recognize them, understand what value add they bring to the project, to the organization, and if they are giving more authority, more recognition and more power, these people can end up becoming the best performing assets for the organization. The karma for such people is to be able to give back to the society with the same dedication and the same application that they do for their work or for their projects. Generally, because they are too strongly engrossed in what they are doing for the organization, what they are doing for the department, they end up neglecting themselves, sometimes neglecting the relationship, sometimes neglecting the family, and sometimes neglecting what they need to give back to the society. As long as the person with the 10th house lord in the sign of Capricorn is able to balance both the sides and is able to also work for himself, assert himself, ask for himself, and not neglect his family, not neglect his relationship, then the person will also become the biggest value add that society can look forward from the person with the 10th house lord in the sign of Capricorn. The person with the 10th house lord in the sign of Aquarius is somebody who has been created to do more for society. Usually these people are very outgoing, and usually they will be involved in some group, in some team where there is a lot of exchange of ideas and there is a lot of exchange of thought processes, what should be done, how the success for the project can be achieved. And in the to and fro of ideas, they are also the ones who are also suggesting path-breaking ideas, path-breaking processes, path-breaking SOPs, standard operating processes also, procedures also. And usually these people will either work in large teams or large organizations, or sometimes also work in those organizations who have a more societal impact. So large organizations who are, for example, in the banking industry, or in the travel and tourism industry, or in the manufacturing industry, or the IT industry, or the finance industry, are the people who will be working in teams to be able to do more value add and bring about the change in how the work is done, how operations is done, so that society at large is profited. So usually these people have a very humanitarian approach towards work, and to a certain extent a very determined approach to what they should be doing. And so these people are also ones who will not hesitate to assert themselves at work, not generally for themselves, but they feel the work output needs that assertiveness, the work output needs that they push, and to be able to also push their ideas forward also, not for themselves, but because there is more value adding to the work, to the end user and to the society at large. And so these people tend to have a good relationship with supervisors also, but many times there may also be these arguments the supervisors may see as a game of one-upmanship or trying to push them to the ground, and hence these people usually end up having a lot of struggles with authority figures also. However, if they are given more flexibility and given more authority and more leeway and more room to perform, they can give excellent results. And usually these are also the people who may bring about ideas which may be not only path breaking but change enough for the industry also. And these are the people who are the ones who push for and brought about changes in the different SOPs, in the different procedures of the companies, to how the company itself works, how projects are done. And the biggest change bringers to an industry are the people with the 10th house lord in the sign of Aquarius. These people also want more authority, more recognition at work, because they want to be able to bring about more change and also see the work actually giving results on the ground rather than just on paper. And that gives them the biggest motivation, that makes them feel most happy when they see the change in front of themselves, because that's why they have aligned themselves to a certain project, to a certain organization. The karma for these people is to continue to do that good work, because these are the harbingers of bringing about a change in society and doing maximum from the society, because these are the change agents of society. And that is the placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Aquarius for you. The placement of the 10th house lord in the sign of Pisces is about a person who likes to do work at a more idealistic approach or idealistic volition, which means that these people feel that in the career that I do or the work that I do, I should be able to do very good work and be able to do something where I can see the change in the society, but at the same time it should also be rewarding for me and rewarding for my team also. So generally there should be goodness all around. Sometimes that is not possible, because there will always be some person, some team, some department which may be shortchanged. But because these people are very idealistic, they don't mind voicing their ideas across. But many times their ideas are also not very practical, because the organization feels they are too idealistic. So they may stand up for their team member because they feel the team member is being left out. They may stand up for a project. They may even stand up for somebody who is working in another department because they feel that person has been shortchanged or the work has not been given commensurate to the person's role, commensurate to the person's designation. So usually these people will also want, because they are working very hard, they want the organization to be able to reward them and reward them soon enough, because they feel they have done the best. And usually they do that. These people are very, very hard working, but because they are in this idealistic approach to how work should be done, how recognition should be done, they miss being reasonable and being practical enough to understand that the world is not an ideal world, and many times the person has to give much more than they can receive. However, because of being idealistic also, but being also supportive, also being a little emotional, they also tend to give the most. They also stand by people most in their department, and they don't mind working even for other departments and reaching out to other people also to be able to help them, because they feel that through that, through being more charitable, through being more helpful, you'll be able to attract the goodness from the zodiac also. However, if they are able to get their say, very well and good. If not, many times these people will internalize the challenges, will internalize the problems and keep it well within themselves. And then after some time it takes a toll, it takes an emotional toll also them in themselves. They also go through anxiety, they also go through frustration, and then comes a day when they don't want to be associated with the project or the organization anymore. Hence, it is important for the authority figures, for the supervisors, for the managers of such people, that they take more keen interest in these people and keep motivating them, encouraging them and rewarding them, so that they continue to be the strong pillars that the person with the 10th house lord in the sign of Pisces can be. If given enough freedom, if given enough authority, and if limitations are taken away from the role, and if good guidance is given to them and good accountability is given to them, leadership role is given to them, then these people can do wonders. Except that sometimes in trying to keep everybody happy, they may make unreasonable demands of their own supervisors, of their own departments, of their own authority figures. And so authority figures usually have a tough time dealing with the person with the 10th house lord in Pisces, because ideally that's how things should be done, how the person with the 10th house lord in the sign of Pisces is suggesting. However, the authority figures know that's not always possible, because the world is not so idealistic itself. The karma for such people is to be charitable at work, charitable to the organization, charitable to the progress of the project, but also to keep good relationship with the supervisors and managers, and to be a little tactful and to be diplomatic, because they may be idealistic, they may be very fair, but the world may not be as fair as is required if the person has the 10th house lord in the sign of Pisces. Now that we have talked about how the 10th house lord gets placed in different signs, what its manifestations are, what its meanings are, how basis different yogas, different doshas, different results may come out, different permutations and combinations may come out, different results and effects may come out. Please do a deep dive to understand where your house lord is placed in with different signs, or which sign, and what permutation and combinations it is forming by virtue of what dignity it is in, what yogas or what doshas it is in, what aspects it is in, and basis that be able to decode that placement and be able to understand how you can utilize that placement better and to be able to extract maximum benefit from it. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you are looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me with the link given below. Till some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.